and well met, good gentles. I be Sir Randall of the Renaissance. How now? I'll get back to that in a minute. First, I'll get to my frequently asked questions part. 6 years ago was the first time I was on a Lancaster Story Slam stage. And I asked myself these questions as I came up for the very first time, like, should I do this? Will I be good enough? Is my story legit? Will I panic? Will I freeze like a deer in the headlights? Well, I've done all those things from time to time, but that first story went pretty well. And I enjoyed doing it. I felt like it was an accomplishment. So that was story number 1. Tonight, my wife keeps this ongoing list, and she just updated it for me. Tonight is story number 33. Thank you, Lancaster Story Slam and JJ and Dave and all you folks for providing this platform. But, you know, the thing is, as I came up here today, I was still like, oh, gosh, I hope this is a good story. I hope I don't freeze. I hope all these different things. But this is a great place to come because there's wonderful, I mean, you get the chance to try things, but there's also a lot of great people to learn from. Like, we have published authors here. We have college professors. We have actors and actresses. We have professional radio voices. In fact, I got inspired by it. I took a voice class, so I could come up here and sound like Morgan Freeman sometime. And as you can tell, that class was not successful. But I did learn to do this kind of a moderately good upper class British accent. So I was like, if Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, then where are the pickled peppers that Peter Piper picked? So I won't get a roll on Downton Abbey or anything with that, but it's fun to do, and maybe it'll come in handy sometimes. I thought, well, I continue to do things like that. And in fact, it was funny that there's some people around here have talked about this thing called a Renaissance Fair, Doc Yoder, and there's others who've been on the stage who've been part of the Renaissance Fair. And I heard about that, and I wondered, I just started wondering about it. And so this 6 months or so ago, I went on their website to see what you could do to do something with the Renaissance Fair. And I saw something about auditions and contact this person. So I sent a message and found out that I just missed auditions for this year, which was probably a good thing for me. But they did say that you could send in a link to one of your theatrical performances and they would kind of audition you that way. And they preferred it was musical because they really need to hear your singing voice. So I've never done any theater or acting, but I thought, well, I've got 32 stories out there. Maybe I could just send a link to one of my Story Slam stories. So I sent one in. A few of you know my chicken story. I sent in my chicken story as a link, and I didn't have any singing, so I just pulled out my iPhone and I sang into it. One verse of, "This land is your land, this land is my land, da-da-da-da-da." One verse, put that with it, and submitted it, thinking, well, I might get some constructive feedback. Well, to my surprise, 2 weeks later, the Renaissance Fair calls me, and they offered me a spot, a paid spot, with a contract and everything, like a professional actor gets. I was like crazy. I asked first I showed my wife, I said, do you interpret this any different than I am? And then I called the director to make sure he hadn't mixed me up with some other, someone who submitted something, but he verified it. In fact, he even mentioned the chicken. He said he liked a couple things about the story. And so I was in April, we started rehearsals. And I went in there, and again, I'm asking myself all these questions like, oh my gosh, these people are actors. They are good. And I've never done this before. I'm faking it. So, but I've had, we've gone all the way since April, so a couple of months. Last week, we had our biggest rehearsal ever. A bunch of new actors joined in, like real professionals, joined those of us who are not quite as professional. And we had a group like this size. And I had to do my lines from a couple of skits, and I got to sing a verse of a song solo on stage myself. And afterwards, everybody was applauding and cheering, and people came up to me after and gave me good comments. And I was beside myself. I was at the top of the world. And of course, I even get to use my little British accent in this in the Renaissance Fair. So I just hope that this thing works out well, so that maybe all you folks could come up and see if they made the right decision in bringing me in. So in August, every weekend from the middle of August through October, the Renaissance Fair is going. And you'll see Doc Yoder there in October too. So come see both of us. And I hope to see the lot of you there. And until then, I be Surrender of the Renaissance at your service. Fare thee well, lords, ladies, and good gentles.